right, hello everybody, and welcome back to Earth Minus Comics Reloaded. Whatever episode this is, I think it's 5. Today, we are going to be talking about a lot of comics as normal. We are covering a lot of the new comics that released this week. Yeah, today we're going to be going over stuff such as Dark Ride is back, also more Night Terrors, also Miss Marvel is dead, or is she? Also Big Moon Knight issue, and some other stuff as well. Yeah, we're going to be going over all that. Time codes will be below if you want to jump around to anything in particular. And again, a reminder that we are on Spotify as well if you prefer to listen to us over there. Anyway, as I've been doing the past couple weeks, do you have any thoughts on the week as a whole here right off the bat?
In terms of Night Terrors specifically, because it's been taking up a lot of our this last week and this week.
Yep, and it's going to for the next month and a half. Yeah.
Yep. I thought it was fine this week. I don't remember really disliking any of them compared to last week.
I agree, but I also think the highs are not as high as
that's
week.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, I think the week was okay. There was not much that really stood out to me either positively or negatively, except for one, which I'll get to in a new segment that I'm calling a lightning round. But on the whole, I think it was just kind of, decent enough, but not necessarily fantastic. Where should I start here? All right, I'm going to start with a pretty big one, which you did not read. It's Moon Knight number 25. Last time I talked about Moon Knight, I said that I may not continue with the series, but I was like, what the hell? Let's give it one more shot. Especially this is the as they call it, the enormous 25th issue, which it's like 90 pages. Oof. It's also $10, but it's a lot of comics, so I'll give it a bit of a pass. But still, that's a lot of money. This is the kickoff to the finale for Jed MacKay's run on Moon Knight, which I've been kind of back and forth on. I think generally it's like this series I don't think has been bad at all through any point of it, but I do think over the past couple arcs it's maybe lost a little bit of steam. I think this issue is a very good return to form, and this was actually almost my poll of the week. I thought it was really great. It's a big one, and some of it is a reprint, but the reprint's only like 5 pages or something, as opposed to like half the issue or a third of the issue. I think this one essentially I think where this one works, where the others recently have maybe not been working so much, is it finally establishes who the main threat of this kind of past few issues and also the next few issues going forward is. And not only that, he's really interesting and cool, and I see him actually being a real foil to Moon Knight. His name is Black Spectre, who I don't believe is a series that is a villain that we've seen before. But he's really interesting. It brings Zodiac back in the mix from the first arc. Also, surprisingly, has a really great redemption arc for 8-Ball. Who are you familiar with 8-Ball, Sebastian?
I don't think so.
He's like one of the dumbest villains in Marvel. He's just he's a guy, but he has his head is an 8-Ball from Pool.
Interesting.
And he's like a low level gang kind of dude.
Yeah.
But I think this has a really good character moment for him, surprisingly. So it's split between that's happening in the present, where Moon Knight is essentially hunting down this Black Spectre guy. He's going into his fortress, and kind of there's a bunch of traps being laid for him, a bunch of his villains from his past coming out to fight him. And then it's also that the other half of it is a flashback interspersed throughout the main stuff of one of Mark and the rest of his crew. So Frenchie, a guy named Robert Plesko, and Layla from the Moon Knight show. This is her first appearance in the comics. It's all them doing a job, and that seemingly is going to be leading into the Moon Knight miniseries, which starts next week, which is Moon Knight City of the Dead. That is a 5-issue miniseries that I will probably check out, at least the first couple issues. I don't know if that's going to be related to what's going on currently in this run. But this issue was really good. I liked it a lot. It's the best issue of Moon Knight in a while, I think, and maybe the best of the run so far. And I ended up giving it a 9 out of 10.
All right, nice. How many did you read this week? Is it my turn now?
I
don't
read
know.
13. I did, but I'm gonna throw a bunch into the lightning round, so it'll even out. You just go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm pretty sure I didn't see this one on your pool list, so I'm pretty sure you didn't read it. But I read What If Dark Loki #1.
I did not read that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, this one was really all right until like the very end, in my opinion. It was basically just the fact that like Loki stole Mjolnir, and he was able to lift it because he like stole magic and stuff, and like made a workaround around the curse that Odin put on it and stuff.
Yeah.
And then when Donald Blake, right? That's his alter
Yep.
ego.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Donald Blake and Sif went back to Earth to try and find it, and Loki killed both of them. And so he basically just like went around the nine realms, just like killing like a bunch of just a bunch of people that were like a threat to him.
Yeah.
And then he united a bunch of enemies of Asgard and just stormed Asgard in an attempt to kill Odin.
Okay.
But it backfired because obviously he wanted to rule Asgard, like always. Yeah. But Surtur, his whole thing is I'm going to destroy Asgard. And so he did just that. And now the last thing we saw was just Loki floating through space.
Okay.
Realistically, I thought it was pretty boring, pretty not hard to follow in any way, but like it was just boring until like the very end. It got a bit interesting with the battle and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, next week, I think next week or 2 weeks from now, I think it's 2 weeks from now is What If Dark Gwen Stacy or Spider Gwen.
Okay.
So I'm gonna read that one. But overall, I'd probably give this one like a 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really care about this. I know it's written by Walt Simonson, who is like a legendary Thor, legendary Thor writer. He wrote what's it? He wrote like essentially what Thor Ragnarok is based off of. That whole saga is him. In the 80s, he's essentially like he was the Thor guy who just crushed it. Yeah. I have not gotten to read his run yet, but I'm not too far out from it. But I don't know. It's always tough when you have creators who they really did their, they were mostly from doing their work in the 80s, or when it was the 80s, when it was mostly like people from the 60s who were coming back and doing stuff in the 80s. Like, yeah, it's tough sometimes if their style hasn't updated. It's tough to sometimes maybe make that transition into modern comics to a point where it's actually still satisfying as a read. I will not be planning on reading this one, but
no, you didn't really miss much, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, what else do I have on my list here? Okay, I'll do this now. Well, do I want to do this now? Okay, sure, I'll do this now. My pick of the week, just one of the only other ones that I know you did not read. Planet of the Apes #4. I talked about the series about a month ago, and I said that I liked it, but I also did think that it's issue 1 I think was really great, a really good introduction and setup for the story. Then 2 and 3 was kind of just maneuvering people into place, moving all the pieces where they need to be for this issue, essentially, where now finally kind of a big explosion has just happened in this series, and this is essentially the first really big fight of the series, and it's really great. It's just it's all essentially all takes place on this ship, and with the terrorist group, the Exorcitus Viri, versus a couple people who are transporting a bunch of apes to the CDC in Atlanta, and then it's them and all the apes fighting back, and it's just really fun and cool. The story here is pretty threadbare. There's not a whole lot of actual story development because it is essentially just a big battle issue. But the art is really good. I mean, the art has been fantastic throughout this whole series, and it's no exception here. Some really cool splash pages. There's one double page spread in there that was really cool. It was great. I'm a big fan of the series, which I was not expecting to be. I literally only got the series initially because my dad likes Planet of the Apes a lot, so I was like, I'll just give this to him. Oh, yeah. But I have ended up really loving it, and next issue is the finale. The Exorcitus Viri is about to attack Washington, D.C., or they actually are in the process of attacking Washington, D.C., and the U.S. government does not have enough troops or anything to hold them off. So essentially, at the end of this issue is like, all right, we're sending you and all the apes in, and you guys are gonna have to take back the capital for us, essentially. And that's gonna be the last issue next month. So I'm liking this a lot. I think it's great. I would recommend it to pretty much anybody. This is the only one I gave a 10 this week. So yeah, this is a perfect score for me.
There you go.
My pick of the week.
Well, all right then. Let's see what else. I guess I'll talk about. We always say Night Terrors for last. I'll talk about Spirit World then.
Okay.
Man, I'm giving you duds here, honestly.
See, this is by far my favorite of the things you've made me read.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I thought this was great.
What have I made? I made you read Grimm, and what was the other one that I made you read?
Grimm and Silk.
Yeah. Oh man, dude, really?
I liked this. I thought it was good. I'm gonna keep reading this.
I mean, I'm gonna keep reading it at this point, but like, oh man, I don't know. I really don't know what my problem was, but like when I was reading this, I was just bored. I don't know why.
Yeah, fair enough. I think this could have gone one of two ways for me. I could have seen myself being like, whatever, it's fine, but not really my thing. Yeah. But ultimately, I think it's a combination of, I think there's some good character beats in here, particularly with the main character, who I don't know how to pronounce their name. I think it's Xanth. I've been alternating my head between Xanth and Xanthi. So I'll probably, I don't know which one it is, but I also think it's cool that Constantine is involved. I love a good Constantine appearance.
You do. You do.
I think it's cool that like Cass is in here. I think it's, I think this works because this is a new character, obviously. I think they appeared in Lazarus Planet before this, which I did not read. But essentially this is essentially a new character. And I think it's smartly written in that it is still, there's enough supporting characters from the DC universe where it's like, well, there's still touch points for people who don't have any affinity for this character, which is most people, since, this character did not exist until very recently. So I think that's cool. I think the art is just fucking awesome.
I love the art. I love the art style. They did a great job with the art.
All the Spirit World stuff is so cool and also like pretty creepy. I also think the main character's powers are very unique. I think the fact that they can just just burn the paper offerings. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Really basically origami and stuff.
Yeah. It's kind of like a more spiritual take on like a Green Lantern sort of power.
Yeah.
But where you're also like, you are only limited by your like creativity and imagination, but at the same time, like as happens in issue 3, there's a point where Xanthi runs out of the swords, right? And so they just have to use like weird like random cooking equipment for their fight. There's like a big meat cleaver, and then they use a big cooking pot for a shield. It's like, I think it's really cool and creative. So I've been digging this so far. I think it's really solid.
No, like I don't know. I'm gonna keep going with it because like I really love the art style, but I just feel like I don't know why, but like the story is just like it's just boring for me right now. Like I don't know. I feel like maybe with these next couple issues they're gonna be picking up again because we saw like I feel like what would be like the main villain in number 3.
Yeah, right.
And so like I feel like maybe it'll pick up and I'll probably get more interested in it. But like I don't know, just like the first 2 issues just like really weren't it for me.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think first issue I was like, okay, this is clearly like I think I gave the first issue like a 7. Because it was, I was like, it's good enough, but not blowing me away. I think issue 2 really worked on at least in the first section where Xanthi escapes their parents' like weird spell thing. Yeah. I mean, that was a really cool character moment. But I think the art works, and I think the creative character power set really works for me. I gave this issue a 9, actually. I think I'd give this series an 8.5 as a whole, but this is easily my favorite of the things you've made me read.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. Grimm, like I told you before we started recording, is going downhill, and then, Silk is just, I don't know.
Silk is very okay.
Yeah, Silk is just Silk, but yeah. No, I'd probably give this one like, I'd probably give this like, I'm gonna say 6.5, maybe 7.
Okay. Next up is one, I don't know if you read this one or not. I think I might as well put this here. The Death of Miss Marvel, Fallen Friend. Did you read this one?
I did.
Okay. I have a feeling I'm not going to be talking much about the actual issue here because there's not a whole lot to say. I think it's like well written.
I thought it was very well written. Yes.
Yeah, I just have a kind of a problem with the whole concept behind this issue, which essentially I think is very dumb that Miss Marvel died in Spider-Man.
Yes,
I think
yes, I remember.
It's weird that that's the place they had her die. I mean, I get that like she didn't have an ongoing or even a miniseries, and she at least did have some involvement in Spider-Man, whereas I'm fairly sure she has not shown up very recently in any other series. But it still is just like, why? Like, what's the point? And I know the obvious answer is like, well, we need to drum up sales. The Marvels is coming out soon. She's going to be in that. We can kill her and then bring her back in time for her own ongoing before the Marvels comes out. And then brand synergy and marketing and all that stuff, and boom, more money. I get that, but I still think it's just dumb from a story perspective. I think for this issue being, if we take away the premise and my problems with it, I think on its own terms, I think this issue is very solid. It's separated into 3 chapters, which are each written by a different writer. One is by G. Willow Wilson, who is essentially, she co-created Miss Marvel. Again, as I mentioned last week, Kamala may have shown up in another series briefly as Kamala before, but like G. Willow Wilson co-created Miss Marvel, like the character with all the powers and everything. Second chapter was written by Mark Waid, who did a lot of stuff this week, actually. He's a great writer. And then the third story was written by Saladin Ahmed, who is going to be writing the new Daredevil run. He also did an ongoing run on Miss Marvel as well. I think they're all solid. I think the first chapter was my favorite of the 3. But it's, it's just essentially how people at her funeral and, how Kamala impacted the lives of her friends and teammates and everything.
Yep.
And that's pretty much the whole plot here.
It was, basically. Because the first one was more about, like, the family side of it.
Yeah.
The second one was, like, team members a bit more, and then
from
the
the
third
champions,
one, yeah, from the champion side, and then the third one was more about the Avengers, and we also saw Spider-Man finally at that one, too.
Right.
Trying to figure out what he was going to say to her parents. I'd honestly say I think the third one was mine.
Okay.
My favorite one. I just like
I do really like in the third one where I don't remember his name, but he's one of the wrecking crew.
Yeah, Pile Driver.
Pile Driver, that's the one, yeah. And he's just like he's doing a robbery or something, and just like right across from the mosque, and all the Avengers come out and they're like, "Hey, dude, you want to keep it down?" He's just like, "Oh fuck."
He's literally just like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna go turn myself in."
Yeah.
Like,
I thought that was very fun. Yeah.
It was very funny, and I just liked like all the people like coming in, like being like super respectful too. Like I don't know if like I'm supposed to like do this, but then what is his name? Abdullah, he's always like, it's fine, just come in.
Yeah. Well, I think ultimately that's why I preferred the first story. Is I think the emotional beats of that one hit harder. I also love how because that's the one where Logan shows up briefly.
Yes.
And he just knows all this stuff. Just like, of course he does. He's lived for so long. He's been around the world so much. Like, of course he's just very versed in all this. And then also, I thought the moment with Carol at the end, Carol and all of Kamala's friends, I thought that was the only part where I was like, that's a very good emotional moment. The rest of it, I was just like, yeah, it's all well written enough, but I didn't feel too much reading that. Also knowing that Kamala will probably be back within. Honestly, I think she might be back by the end of the month, but I'll talk about that a bit later.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I think another really good spot was the conversation between Iron Man and Doctor Strange.
Yes, that was very good. Yeah.
Iron Man was like, part of me really wants you to tell you to like bring her back, but I know I can't. And Doctor Strange basically goes on saying like why he can't. And Iron was like, I know I wasn't saying anything, and he's like, I know I didn't say it for you.
Yeah,
basically meaning like he needed to reassure himself like I can't do anything about her death.
Yeah, that was great. Did your version of the issue have a QR code in the back?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I didn't really pay attention.
Yeah, so the last page of this, at least on the physical edition, is a QR code which brings you to a one-page bonus scene. It's like I guess they're doing post-credit scenes in comics now as well. But essentially Scott shows up because he was on the Champions with Kamala, and
Scott,
everyone's like
Scott,
Cyclops Scott.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And so everyone's like, "Yo, dude, where the fuck were you? Like, you could have showed up. Why weren't you here?" And he's like, "I can't tell you right now, but you'll find out soon enough." And so the theory going around recently, because you know, I've talked to you about how Krakoan resurrection is a thing right now. For anybody who's listening who does not know, essentially right now, the mutants, so all the X-Men and all their adjacent characters, they all, both villains and heroes, they all live on an island called Krakoa. It is the official mutant nation right now, and it's not recognized by every country, but a lot of countries do recognize it as a country in its own. And essentially on Krakoa, there's a group of 5 mutants, aptly named the Five, who, by using their powers in tandem, they can resurrect mutants, essentially. They create what is called a husk, which is just essentially a mutant body. And then Professor X has a device called Cerebro, which stores the consciousness of every mutant on the island. Essentially gets backed up every 2 weeks. So then they implant that consciousness into the body, and then the mutant comes back to life. So the theory going around now is that Kamala will be resurrected on Krakoa as a mutant. Gotcha. I think this one-page post-issue scene, I think, does lend credence to that, since Scott's like being very mysterious about it. I also think that it makes a lot of sense from a brand synergy perspective, because Marvel, obviously in the MCU, Kamala is a mutant definitively. So I think it makes sense for Marvel to want to make that the case in the comics now as well, to kind of, again, brand synergy, cross-promotion kind of thing. Even though Kamala's been an Inhuman for essentially her entire comics career, as far as I'm aware. That being said, I also know that Marvel wants everybody to forget about that Inhuman show, which makes sense because apparently it's one of the worst shows ever made. So I know they want to move away from that. So my theory, in 2 weeks, I'm not going to be reading this as it comes out. I'm still catching up on all the X-Men stuff. I'm working my way through it. I'm not too far behind, but I am still behind. In 2 weeks, the Hellfire Gala issue comes out, which kicks off Fall of X, which is the next big X-Men event. Possibly the end of the Krakoan age. We don't know for sure yet. I don't know if Krakoa is going to keep going after this or not. I hope it does, because I love the Krakoan era. But my theory here is that at the Hellfire Gala, they're going to resurrect Kamala and reveal her to be a mutant.
Gotcha.
So, especially because there's a new series coming out either next month or in September. Right now, the solicitation for it just says classified, and says that we will learn more information about this in July, including the actual title. So my guess there is that that's probably a Miss Marvel ongoing. Gotcha. That has just not been revealed because Miss Marvel is still officially dead for now. So that's where I think this is kind of all going. Hellfire Gala is going to be big, man. That's also where the gods, which are the characters that are going to be in Jonathan Hickman's new upcoming series coming out in a few months, they're apparently going to get their kind of main introduction to the universe there. So that's going to be a big deal. I'm bummed I won't be able to read that yet. But anyway, yeah, that's my spiel. Even though I also don't like, I think there's some after the Axe event last year, I think some humans are able to be resurrected as well. So I know they have definitely resurrected Captain America. But I don't know where we're at with that right now. So anyway, that's my whole spiel out of the way. That's what I think is going to happen.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, you know more than I do. So
yeah. As for this issue, I'm probably going to go I think I went with a 7.
I enjoyed this one. I'd give it a 7.5.
Yeah. I think, again, well written. The premise is, I think, flawed, especially because I think Kamala will be back in literally 2 weeks. So it's like, why are we doing this?
Yeah. Let's see. So I think the last one that I read before Night Terrors would be Dark Ride.
What'd you think? This is the one that I made you read.
Yes, it is. Listen, guys. Arden's 3 for 3. I really got to pick up my comic choices here, because goodness gracious, man. I did enjoy the beginning chapters, books,
issues.
Yep. There we go. Thank you. A bit more than the later ones. But that being said, they're not bad, the later ones, not like Grimm where they kind of just really tank.
Yeah.
I just think the a bit more of the mysteries there in especially the first 3.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
But overall, really enjoying this series. Can't wait. I honestly can't wait to see where it goes and how it finishes.
Yeah, it's good. I think a problem I have with this series is not even really the fault of the series. It's the publishing schedule for this is very intermittent, so I just end up like forgetting everything that happened in the previous issues. I mean, like the first four came out monthly,
Yeah.
but then there was a 3 month gap between issues 4 and 5, and then issue 6 came out the next month, and now it's been 2 months since the last issue. So I just keep forgetting like
Yeah,
everything that's
yeah,
happening. And then also like next month a new issue comes out, but then we don't have an issue. We don't have a release date for number 9, so it's at least skipping September again. So I
yeah.
kind of just keep forgetting where we're going. But yeah, I agree that the start of this is better. It's essentially the premise here is it's just like it's about this family that owns a horror themed theme park, and there's called Devil Land, and there's a lot of weird stuff going on in the background as
Yeah.
well. This issue 7, because you did read all of them, right?
Yes, I did.
This we finally reveal who. I think this is the first time we really see Arthur Dante, right?
Yeah, it's the first time we like really
Okay.
see him. Before
Yeah, I
we would
wasn't
just see
sure.
his mustache with a creepy smile.
Right. Yeah, so this is the first time we really see the creator of the park, whose name is Arthur Dante. We've spent some time with his kids in the previous issues, but he's finally here. We got a conversation with him. I think this issue, from a character standpoint, is good. I think it's cool that we finally see Dante. I think it's like that's good. That's a big thing that's been brewing for a while. That being said, I do think this was probably my least favorite of the series so far. Just because it really does feel like not a whole lot really went down. And I think the dialogue in the dinner scene was good, but not enough to really elevate this to the level I was hoping it would be.
Yeah.
I do think the final tease of the issue where Sam's daughter is being like
watched
by all the Devil Land creatures, that's really cool. Next issue, apparently, according to the letters page, is going to get real like insane and bloody, so that's cool. I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I think the series is just very solid. It's written by Joshua Williamson, who's writing the Night Terrors core event and writing a lot of DC stuff as well. Cool use of black and white in a lot of the flashback stuff as well.
Yes.
The artist Andre Bresson's really cool. Yeah, I don't have too much to say on this one, honestly. I partially because I can't remember anything before this issue, really, but also because I think this issue is just not quite as strong as the others.
No, yeah, I mean in this one, Arthur, Dante's son, Sam, finally says like screw the park, like screw you guys, I'm done with all this. And he tries to get his sister to come along, but the sister's like, nah. Yeah, pretty much. I don't really have a lot to say about this one either. It was just a lot of there wasn't really a lot of mystery going on here. It was just a lot of us getting introduced to Arthur finally.
Yeah.
I will say I think it's fun, like at the end of everything, every single variant cover for Dark Ride has some sort of Disney variant, and I think it's really funny.
Yeah. This one looks like it's Frozen, huh?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm only gonna rate this issue because this is the one that I read this week. But I'm giving this one a 7. I still think it's good, but I do think it's weaker than the rest of the series as well.
Yeah. I give it a 6.5.
Yeah, that's fair. You gonna keep going with this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going with all the ones you've given me. It sucks.
Cool.
But it is.
Yeah. World Tree is still the best of all of them, though, for sure.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah. Okay, let's see here. My next one. Did you read Loki?
No, I did not.
Okay. So in that case, did you read anything else before we get into Night Terrors?
Nope, that's it.
Okay.
I'm on Night Terrors now.
So I'm just gonna go into this segment, which I'm just gonna be very not creatively calling the lightning round, where I'm just gonna go over a couple other issues that I read very briefly that I don't have a lot to say about this week. There's only 2 of them. One of them is Loki. I like the first issue. I didn't think this issue was very good. I thought this was a significant decrease in quality. It was fine, but not really much else to say besides that. I just think I don't know. I think I might drop this one. I think this one was just not as interesting. I think the premise here is still pretty cool with Loki trying to find the fragments of his ship from when he was evil called the Nagelfar, kind of a weird like sentient material thing that creates weapons and stuff. But on the whole, not a huge fan of this one. I gave this one a 5 out of 10. And then the other one was Scarlet Witch number 6.
Yes.
This was my least favorite issue of the week. I am bummed to say that because I've liked this series generally up to this point. But I think, I don't know. I think the art felt a little bit off in this one. There were still some really great panels, but I think the faces felt a little bit weird here, particularly for Wanda. And then I also just think this is the weakest issue of the series for me so far. I think this is really where I started to notice my problems with Steve Orlando from his other series. This is the first time I've really noticed that come through in this series. I mean, this is essentially the plot of this follows very closely to the first arc of Marauders, which I just fucking hated.
Yeah.
Where it's like, in that one, it was like the Marauders go to the Kree, and because the Kree did a genocide of a bunch of mutants, early mutants. This one, it's some character goes to Wanda because the Kree did a genocide of her people, and so they go and try. And it's like it's very similar, and I'm just like, oh god, I've already seen this and I don't like it. I didn't like it then. Also, I just don't really care about Billy as a character, Wiccan. I haven't read a whole bunch of stuff with him in it, so maybe he's great, but I've never really had that much of an affinity for that character. I like Hulkling, but he doesn't have much play in this, and Billy doesn't either, really, to be fair. It's just kind of a very Wanda-centric story, which makes sense. It's her book, but I was hoping for more from this one, and I didn't get it, and so I gave this a 4 out of 10, by far my least favorite issue of the series, and I'm gonna give it one more, but okay, you know what? The last page, Magneto shows up.
Oh.
Which is a big deal because he's dead. He's supposed to be dead right now. But it's also like, why is he showing up in this series? I mean, I know like Wanda obviously there's the familial connection with Magneto, and also Steve Orlando is he has done some Etch stuff not too long ago, but it's still like he died in X-Men Red, which is a fantastic series and very important to the core X-Men story going on right now. It's weird that they wouldn't bring him back in either the core X-Men series, X-Men Red, or Immortal X-Men, and they brought him back in this, which is not even really an X book. Makes me wonder if this will become more X adjacent as we go into Fall of X. But yeah, either way, didn't like this one very much. Bummer, but yeah, whatever. I'll give it one more, but we'll see what happens after that.
All right, yeah. I don't really know too much about Hulkling and Wiccan.
Yeah, they're currently ruling the Kree Skrull combined empire, which is cool. But
yeah. Is Wiccan like a Kree or a Skrull or something, or is it just
no
happen chance?
Hulkling is half Kree.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think he's half Kree and half Skrull. I'm not sure on that though. I may be wrong. Okay, time for the Night Terrors block.
Yes.
God, there's so much of these. Okay, we'll go in sequence again. It started with Night Terrors number 1. Where are you at with this?
Night Terrors number 1. We got a bit more info, I guess, into some things, not a whole lot. We learned that Insomnia, instead of suppressing his fears, he suppresses his happy memories.
Yep.
Thought that was interesting. We learned a bit more about the thing they're looking for, which I'm forgetting right now.
The Nightmare Stone, yeah.
That thing. Yep. We learned a bit more backstory on that one. Oh, he brought back Sandman at the very end.
Yes. So this is not Dream, the Sandman that most people probably know from the Neil Gaiman run. This is Wesley Dodd, who I do not know anything about, but I guess he is a version of the Sandman as well, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the only thing about this issue that made me go, okay, that's interesting. I kind of am interested to see where that goes.
Yeah.
But I think I said this last week. I don't know how I feel about Deadman being like the lead of this series.
Yeah.
I don't know much about him in general, and he's fine here. And I'm all for like taking more obscure characters and kind of putting them in a more prominent role. But I don't know. I'm not feeling this one. I think this kind of confirmed what I was feeling last week, which is I think this event could be pretty cool, but I think that how cool this event is going to end up being is going to depend more on the tie-ins than the main series, because the main series is not really doing it for me.
Gotcha.
I did not think this was bad. I just didn't. I did think it was a step down from First Blood last week, and I am very much like, what are we kind of doing here? The Sandman stuff is cool, and I did kind of bump it, I think, an extra star for that. I think that's an interesting development to take this, but other than that, I'm not really feeling much from this.
I mean, besides Deadman, who else do you think could have fit the main role? Because I feel like he makes sense as the main role, whether we like it or not. You know?
Yeah, well, and that's true. I think that is fair. I just don't. I don't know if I like it.
No, yeah.
It's not that I don't think he fits. It's that I'm just not sure how I feel about him as a main character in this, from a character standpoint.
No, yeah. I mean, he's certainly, I would say, he's not the most interesting of characters, to be honest.
He has personality, I guess, but
that's like really like the main thing he's got going for him.
Yeah, I did kind of like how he's just like, all these sleep night people, dream nights, whatever they're called. He's like, yeah, you're, I'm in Batman's body right now. The dude works out. This is not going to be too much of an issue.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of fun, but not feeling this one too much. I think I don't know. 6 or 7, Sebastian.
6 or 7. I'd give it a 6.
Okay, I'll give it a 6 then. I initially put it at 7, but I think I am feeling more 6 right now. Is that the same rating you would give it, or would you?
Yeah,
give it?
No, yeah, I'd give it a 6.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see where this goes, but I am much more skeptical of this now than I was last week. Any other thoughts on this?
No, not really. I mean, yeah, I think it's like you said. I'm kind of enjoying more of the side stories rather than the main issues right now.
Yeah.
As well.
Next up, Night Terror's Green Lantern.
Green Lantern.
I didn't like this very much.
The Green Lantern one. Man. Oh, it was a bunch of different. He kept on getting teleported to different places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one felt to me like, because the Green Lantern series just started, not too long ago, like a couple months ago. Yeah. I like that series a lot so far. It's only 2 issues in, and this is written by the same person as who's doing that. And so I get the impetus here that seems to have happened, which is that it seems like Jeremy Adams took this series as an opportunity to kind of recap Green Lantern's life.
Yeah.
And get people caught up to speed on where he's at. Which I understand that. But for me, it's just like, I know. Well, I don't even really know too much of this stuff, but it's still like, it just feels very much like a recap issue where we're just going back and forth between different events of his life, and there's some vaguely creepy spin on it, even though it's not really that creepy at all. And it feels kind of generic and bland. And yeah, I just wasn't really feeling it on this one too much. Some cool art in this, but this one was also not one that I really like that much.
Yeah, no, not much to say about this one really. It's like you said, it was really just a recap of his life. Started with the death of his father, then going to him finding Evan Sewer, then him being chewed out by the Guardians, and
Guardians of Oa, by the way, not the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, Guardians of Oa, yeah. And then at the very end, it kind of seemed like he was fighting a Parallax. I don't know.
Yeah, it was Parallax. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I figured. And then it ended with a Sinestro story too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that for you? I have no thoughts on that one either.
I have no thoughts on that one either. I didn't know he lost his power ring. I guess that's a thought.
Yeah. I don't know. I would love to learn more about like why Earth is quarantined right now by the Guardians, but it's like not interested in answering that in this series, I guess, which makes sense. It's not the core. You probably want to do that in the core series and not in the tie-in to it in event.
Yeah.
I go 5. I think I'm very in the middle on this.
It's hard to rate these tie-ins sometimes, man.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to hate it too much because it's the tie-in, but like.
Yeah.
Eesh.
But at the same time, then I think there's not. I don't know if I'd go with that excuse that much, because at the same time, like, you have really great tie-ins like the Joker or Poison Ivy.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, it can be done, yeah.
Just, oh man, I'm gonna give it a 5/5.
Okay. Next up, this one's better. Robin. Night Terror's Robin one.
Yeah, I liked this one. This one wasn't bad. This one was not bad.
I think it was trying to take a creepy angle to it. I did not feel it at all. I was like,
not as much as some of the other ones that I read this week. No. Yeah.
I thought this was I think it was solid, but not. I mean, I think the art was really good in this one. The artist was Miguel Mendonca. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know. Really, really good art. Cool variant covers too, by the way. Really cool. Some really cool variants.
Yeah.
But essentially, this is another shared dream, like with Poison Ivy last week. But this time between Tim Drake and Jason Todd.
Yep.
Two characters who I don't know very much about. And they both do their. What's that?
You know Jason Todd. I know
the Red Hood thing. Yeah. I was by the way, I was 100% expecting Jason's nightmare to just be being beaten with a crowbar by the Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm glad they didn't do exactly that. They didn't bring the crowbar into it, but it was a little bit more interesting than that.
And a bit of the Joker.
Yeah.
Into it as well. Yeah.
I think the Jason side of this was more interesting, with him fighting the endlessly multiplying weird red dome head Joker crowbar monster things.
You know who the Red Dome Head is, right?
No.
Oh, so supposedly in like the Joker origin, that is the Joker before he fell into the vat of acid.
Huh? I'm assuming that's like one of the many.
I don't know if that's like the for sure one that we've nailed down, but that is one of the things. Yes.
Well, as far as I'm aware, Joker doesn't even have a definitive origin. It's very much like every time we hear his origin, it's different, and so it's very much like.
Okay, how about this is the one from The Killing Joke.
I think even then there's 3 in The Killing Joke, if I remember correctly. But one of them from there. I have read The Killing Joke, so I just don't recognize it.
Yeah, that is technically the Joker before he fell into the vat of acid.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Tim's is just watching his dad die over and over again in the Captain Boomerang.
Yep. And then the final one, he saw the entire Bat family die.
But I think my problem with that, I think the way Jason is handling this whole thing makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
I feel like Tim's training should allow him to, I feel like this should not be affecting him quite as much as it is. He is properly losing his mind. And I feel like he even knows it's a dream. Both Jason and him figure that very quickly.
Does know it's a dream. I think him handling it, trying to do it by himself, is what's doing it. Because he just watched. Because in the thing, it literally says he's done it 52 times, right. And he hasn't been able to save his dad. And he's been trying to connect to Jason, and Jason's literally surrounded by crowbar monsters at this point. He's like, I fucked up. I'm about to die here. And Tim is just freaking the frick out at this point. Especially I think the one that really broke him was when the Bat family died.
Yeah, and I get that. I mean, if I was in Tim's situation, I would very much be completely having a meltdown. But I think with Tim's training and all, because with Jason and Batman in both of their ones, they go in there this is a dream, none of this is real, fuck you, this is not gonna get to me. I feel like Tim should have been in a similar situation. And I know Tim is also not as broken as those other two characters.
Yes.
But I still feel like his training should have been this is clearly not real. It sucks, but I can just also he should have just been I'll just stay in this room, or go out a different way, and then I just don't have to think about it. I don't know. That's kind of the way I was thinking of it.
I mean, it definitely was working. I think just what the Bat family one just really, really broke him. I think that's all it was. That's the one that finally put the final nail in the coffin,
Right.
Because it was working at the beginning, and even he was this is definitely a dream, because at the very beginning when Jason punched him, because I just lost all my teeth from the one punch.
Yeah. Also, everything's weird and floating in a limbo or something.
Yeah, exactly. So it's this is definitely a dream, and we know how to handle dreams, but just that one really got to him, I guess.
Yeah. I give this one a 7. I think it was solid, but
I'd give it a 7. I'll give it a 7.
Next up, Shazam. This was my favorite of this week's stuff. I think.
I was gonna say that too. This one was my favorite compared to Black Adam's last week, man. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Well, this one is written by Mark Waid, who's a really good writer. I think it's interesting. I expected it to focus on Billy, but this is very much a story focused on Mary's dream.
Yeah.
It's unclear. Is that Billy is that real Billy though?
I don't think it is.
Okay.
I think that's a dream. I think that's literally insomnia.
Okay. Yeah, see, I was thinking that initially, but reading the solicitation on it, it says the plot synopsis for the issue is enter Teth Shazam. Of all Earth's heroes, Billy Batson is the only one in double danger because he and the captain are each haunted by their own set of nightmares. And if the world's mightiest mortal can't survive his own fears, what chance does the rest of the Shazam family have? So my thinking is maybe it is a shared dream, and Billy has just completely Billy and the captain have both just completely succumbed to their nightmares, which is essentially them going bad because they are powerful enough that they can really fuck things up.
Yeah.
And so I think it might actually be him, but like a Black Adam version of him.
Yeah.
But this one really, I think it's really fun in terms of like the weird dream stuff that gets incorporated into it. Like at one point, Mary's family is like, okay, we're gonna bring you to a sleep psychiatrist, and they're like, okay, we called a taxi. And Mary's like, why don't we just drive? And she's like, no, don't worry about it. We have a taxi. And you look at the taxi's just really long.
Really freaking long. And then they're like, remove your shoes. And there's just like a pool in there.
Yeah. That's the kind of weird dream shit I want to see in this. Just really weird, innocuous, funny stuff that I love the idea of just a really long taxi. It just, I don't know. I find that really funny. And then also like when the taxi falls off a cliff and Mary saves it. And then her mom is like, just let us drive you there. And Mary's like, no, we're here. We're literally right here.
We're here,
yeah. How like space does not mean anything. And I love the actual playing with the dream logic here. I think this one also really works because it really makes you, for a while at least, question when Mary is dreaming and when she's awake. There's a point where she says Shazam in her sleep, and we think she wakes up, but she's still in the dream world, and it kind of keeps playing with that throughout the issue, which I think is really interesting. And then I really like how it ends as well, the cliffhanger, where it's a really interesting use of the Shazam powers, where Billy just goes up, brings all his foster family members out, just keeps saying Shazam right next to them, and completely vaporizing them. It's like that's a cool idea. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this issue overall.
Yeah. So, do you think when it was like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, it was like Shazam constantly being in her house, do you think that was a dream, or do you think that was the real world? Like her trying to like accidentally like sleep talking, saying Shazam?
Yes, I think that was real because we didn't see her wake up in any of those. I think if we had seen her wake up, it probably would have been still in the dream. But I think that we didn't see it from inside. Well, maybe not, though, actually, because I think that's the reason why her parents actually wanted her to go to the sleep psychiatrist is because she kept Shazamming in her sleep within the dream. So maybe that might have actually still been in the dream, yeah.
Yeah, maybe, because it's like you said, there was one time where we thought she was just sleeping, and then she accidentally said Shazam, and then, like, woke her up. But that was still part of the dream. So, like, I think that is the real world, and she is just she's just sleep talking saying Shazam, but like obviously everybody else is already asleep, and it's just not waking her up.
Okay, so counterpoint to that, which also bounces off that, so maybe that isn't the real world, and it gets incorporated into her dream that she's also doing that in the dream world. Maybe like Insomnia using that as an excuse to try and get her into the sleep psychiatrist so that like he can make sure she doesn't like break out or something. Because we do also see Insomnia in this one. I think this is the only one besides the core.
Yes, because of the wisdom or whatever she has.
Yeah. That was a cool scene too, with him driving the taxi. Do you have any more thoughts on this one?
No.
Yeah, I give it a 8 out of 10.
8.5.
Yeah, I think it was good. It's definitely my favorite of the Night Terror stuff this week.
Yes.
Then we are on to The Flash. What do you think of this one?
The Flash. Let me remember this one. Oh, okay. This one was a dream, right?
Yeah. They're all dreams. Yeah, except for Zatanna, which we'll talk about.
Yeah. But this one just like it was one of those ones where it didn't seem like a dream.
Yeah, it took you a while to figure out that it was a dream.
Yeah, it was like this. It was kind of like one of those ones from last week where it was like it was a dream, but it definitely didn't seem like a dream.
Right.
This one was definitely one of those because it really starts out like kind of normally where it's just the fact that Kid Flash, Wally, that's the name, Wally, got stabbed by Grodd with the Destiny Spear.
Yep.
and he's in like critical condition because he's basically gonna die. And it's Barry just trying to figure out how to save him.
Yeah,
that was really it.
I think the people who, because I don't read much. I'm reading more DC lately, but I have not read a lot of DC historically. I think people who are more familiar with DC will kind of pick up on the Dream stuff more because, like, I think one of the big indications in this is that Wally is in his former suit when he was Kid Flash, because now he is the Flash.
Yeah.
In current continuity, and he's in Barry's like red suit now. So him being in his original yellow Kid Flash suit, I think that's one of the indications. That's one of the indications where Barry is not in the real world. I think this was pretty good, but not as good as some of the others. I think it's interesting. I like the kind of self-fulfilling prophecy angle of this, where Wally slows. The reason Wally gets hit by the spear is because he slows down because he sees a monster in the Speed Force.
Yeah.
Which turns out to be Barry because he travels back in time and it's like really fucked up and burned and stuff. And so he's the one who ends up making Wally slow down and die, or not dying, but getting stabbed at least. Yeah, other than that, I don't have too much to say about it. I think it's well written. I think it's, creepy enough. I think it's one of the creepier issues of the week. Yeah, that was fine.
Creepy. I mean,
I think there's elements of it that are kind of like when he's going back in time and everything's weird, and he goes up to the Watchtower and like Hal Jordan's there, but he's burned to shit.
Yeah.
I think the weird unsettling elements of it, where it's like it's close enough to reality, but just different to make a weird like uncanny valley kind of effect.
Gotcha.
Where it does still feel a little unsettling and creepy. I think that's where the creep factor more comes in for me.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I give it a 7.
Yeah. It's a solid 7.
Yeah. Good enough, but not something I'm really gonna
be
thinking about by the time next week comes out. I will think about it when issue 2 comes out, and then I will never think about it again.
Yeah.
Okay. Final one is Night Terror Zatanna. What do you think on this one?
I completely forgot she was fighting some weird sleep demons, honestly.
The
First Blood, wasn't it? Is that the one?
Yes.
She showed up in?
She was not a big player in that, though.
No, I know. She was more towards the end. I remember that, yeah. But kind of completely forgot, like, what she was doing. It was a thing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Notable for being the first one of these so far, besides the core series, to take place in the real world.
Yeah. She's still awake.
Yep.
Even after it ends. Let's see what else.
Red Tornado is also maybe still up.
I assume so because he's just an android.
Something happened to him at the start of this issue. I don't know what though.
Did something happen to him?
Oh yeah, he was getting like swarmed by the demon things, and he's like, ah.
How did I miss that? I saw him holding up an airplane.
Yeah. This was like on page 3 or something.
Oh, bro, I straight missed it then. Damn. But yeah. I mean, is Robot Man dead, or what's going on with that?
So he's essentially his origin is he was a race car driver, at least from the show. I don't know.
Well, I know. But, yeah.
Race car driver who he got in the big crash, and then his brain is in the thingy.
Yeah.
Do you mean at the end of the issue?
Yeah, at the end of the issue. Yeah.
No way is he dead. He's part of an ongoing Doom Patrol series right now, so there's no way he's dead.
Okay. Well, he turned into Rust Man now.
Yeah, he got transformed. The art on that was really cool. I was really into
that. That was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine again, I think.
Another fine one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the art's good across the board. David Baldeon is a good artist. I really like there was a page where they're walking through a maze.
Yeah.
And the way it's laid out, it looks like the panels are them going through the maze from above, and then it's like them making their journey through it. So it's hard to describe over this audio medium, obviously, but it looks very cool. The art was good. That was my favorite part of the issue. This is written by Dennis Culver, who's also writing the current Doom Patrol series, which I think is why Cliff is part of it. But this is another 7 for me. I think it's very just solid.
Yeah, it's just it's good. It's there. It's good.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on anything?
So far, Night Terrors has just been taking up so much reading, and
yeah.
Honestly, man, they gotta You gotta step it up.
Yeah. Because this series is going to be this event is going to be a total of 47 issues.
Yeah.
For now, I'm still committed to reading all of them, but yeah, it's there's a
we
lot
got
of them,
to.
and
We got
they're
to,
very
man.
a lot of them are just okay. So I think my concern is that the core series I'm suddenly not super confident in. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
and the tie-ins are always for any event are going to be hit or miss. So it's just gonna depend on how this series develops in the core series over the next couple of months. But
yeah.
I don't know. I am not as high on this event as I was last week. So
No, me neither. This one was kind of a slog to read through this week, honestly.
Yeah. All right. Well, next week, just a few things we'll briefly mention here. There's a new issue. There's a new Blade ongoing series starting. I will definitely be checking that out.
Yes.
Night Terrors continues, obviously. Also, the Moon Knight City of the Dead issue #1, that miniseries is coming out. And Something is Killing the Children returns. I'm very excited about that. I literally just caught up on that series yesterday, so I am already here. Also,
that's 31 fucking chapters.
Yeah, it's great though. It is. You're gonna like it. It's by the same guy who wrote World Tree, so.
I mean, hey.
Also, Void Rivals comes back, the weird Transformers universe tie-in. There's some other stuff as well, so yeah, we'll talk about all that next week. Thank you for watching or listening, everybody, depending on where you are. If you're on YouTube, you can check us out on Spotify as well. Earth Minus Comics over there, and if you are on Spotify, you can check us out on YouTube as well. That is the name of our YouTube channel as well. Granted, it is much harder to find us on YouTube because if you search up our channel name, sometimes it just won't show up. So. Yeah, so if you enjoyed, you can like and subscribe on the YouTube. You can leave a comment what you think of this week's issues. How do you feel Night Terrors is developing? Are you also kind of getting exhausted with it already? And same thing on Spotify. You can follow us over there, follow the show if you are enjoying it. And if you want to message us, get in contact with us, the easiest way is probably through our email. It's earthsmightiestcomicspod@gmail.com. All one word and no apostrophe in the word Earths. Other than that, I think that'll do it for this week. So thanks again, everybody, for listening, and we will see you in the next video / podcast episode.